Hello, everybody. So, we're back with another day of Romeo and Juliet. Today, we're going to cover Act 3, Scene 2. So, to go through what we've done in Act 3, Scene 1, Romeo and Juliet have been married. They got married around noon on Monday. The play started on Sunday. They met Sunday night. They're married around noon on Monday. So, within an hour of getting married, Romeo has a fight picked with him by Tybalt. Romeo doesn't want to fight because this is now a member of his family. He's married into this family. This is, his wife's cousin. So he doesn't want that since he doesn't know about the wedding, he doesn't know that, he even doesn't even know that Juliet exists, that this must just be Romeo backing down from a fight. And that angers him, and he says, well, I'll fight. So he and Tybalt start to fight. Romeo tries to stop it, gets in the way. Tybalt stabs Mercutio, and Mercutio dies. This angers Romeo. So Tybalt comes back into the scene. Tybalt leaves right after and then comes back. And Romeo and Tybalt fight, wherein Romeo kills Tybalt. The prince comes in. Both the Montagues and the Capulets come in. Lady Capulet is calling for Romeo's head. She wants him to die because he's killed her kinsman. The prince, who his kinsman is Mercutio, Mercutio's a member of the prince's family, says, all right, well, I've lost somebody here. Romeo killed Tybalt, which Tybalt should have died for killing Mercutio. So I'm not going to kill Romeo. I'm kicking him out of town. And if he doesn't leave, I will kill him. And that's where we go to here. So when we pick up with Act 3, Scene 2, Juliet doesn't know any of this is happening. And we pick up with her. All she knows is that her wedding day has happened and she's anxiously awaiting her wedding night. So let's go ahead and jump into what we've got. All right, let's see. So Juliet comes into her room alone. Gallop apace, you fiery-footed steeds, toward Phoebus's lodging. Such a wagoner as Phaeton would whip you to the west and bring in cloudy night immediately. Spread thy closed curtain, love-performing night, that runaway's eyes may wink, and Romeo leap to these arms, untalked of and unseen. Lovers can see to do their amorous right by their own beauties, or if love be blind, it best agrees with night. Come, civil knight, thou sober-suited matron, all in black, and learn me how to lose a winning match played for a pair of stainless maidenheads. Or maidenhood, sorry. Hood my unmanned blood bathing in my cheeks with thy black mantle, still till strange love grow bold. Think true love acted simple modesty. Come, night, come, Romeo, come, thou day and night. For thou wilt lie upon the wings of night, whiter than new snow upon a raven's back. Come, gentle night, come, loving, black-browed night, give me my Romeo. And when I shall die, take him and cut him out in little stars, and he will make the face of heaven so fine that all the world will be in love with night and pay no worship to the garish sun. Oh, I've bought the mansion of a love, but not possessed it, and though I am sold, not yet enjoyed. So tedious is this day, as is the night before some festival, to an impatient child that hath new robes and may not wear them. So the biggest thing here is Juliet's excited. She's excited for her wedding night. So, she's wanting the day to hurry up and move into night. When it says, gallop apace, you fiery-footed steeds, toward Phoebus's lodging. Such a wagoner as Phaeton would whip you to the west and bring in cloudy night immediately. This is going back to the myth that daylight was a fiery chariot that was moved across the sky. So she's like, if this was that and it was Phaeton who was whipping the horses, then the horses would move so quickly over to the west that night would be immediate. Then it says, spread thy closed curtain, love performing night, that runaways may wink, and Romeo leap to these arms untalked of and unseen. She's like, hurry up and bring on the night that's going to like close off and make certain that nobody can see Romeo come to my arms. And, let's see. Lovers can see to do their amorous rites by their own beauties, or if love is blind, it best agrees with the night. So, not, night, we don't need light for lovers to do what lovers do at night. They can see each other just based off their beauty. Or if love truly is blind, then the night's the best time for it. Come, civil night, the sober-suited matron all in black, and learn me how to lose a winning match played for a pair of stainless maidenhoods. So she's like, hurry up, like, let night come like a mother, all dressed in black, and teach her how to lose her virginity. So let's see. Some stuff about like when I die, take Romeo and cut him up into the stars and send him to heaven so that people will fall in love with night instead of loving the day. Then she says, I have bought the mansion of a love but not possessed it, and though I'm sold, not yet enjoyed. So she's like, I've bought a new house, but I haven't even been able to move into it yet. And I belong to Romeo now. Romeo has bought me, but he hasn't enjoyed me yet. And so tedious is this day as the night before some festival to an impatient child that hath new robes and may not wear them. So the day is like a boring day. It's like the day before a festival, a holiday. And the child wants to put on their fancy clothes. They're anxious. It's the day before Christmas. And she's excited because next day is Christmas. So in comes the nurse, and the nurse comes in with the rope ladder. Oh, here comes my nurse, and she brings news in every tongue that speaks, but Romeo's name speaks heavenly eloquence. Now, nurse, what news? What hast thou there? The cords that Romeo bid thee fetch? She's like, oh, here comes news, and every voice that mentions Romeo sounds beautiful. She's like, nurse, what news do you have? And is that the rope ladder that Romeo told you to pick up? And the nurse says, aye, the cords. The nurse knows the news. The nurse knows that Tybalt has died and that Romeo killed him. So she's not thinking about it. She's distracted here. So she's like, yeah, it's the ladder. Juliet says, ay me, what news? Why dost thou wring thy hands? So, she's wringing her hands like that. The nurse is wringing her hands. But essentially it's like, what's wrong? Why are you like, what's wrong with you? And the nurse says, oh, well a day. He's dead, he's dead, he's dead. We are undone, lady, we are undone. Alack the day, he's gone, he's killed, he's dead. So basically saying, no, he's dead. It's terrible. It's a terrible day. We're undone. We're ruined. Curse the day. He's gone. He's killed. He's dead. And of course, Juliet immediately thinks she's talking about Romeo. So she's like, can heaven be so envious? It's like, is God and heaven so hateful and jealous that they had to take Romeo away from me? Nurse says, Romeo can, though heaven cannot. Oh, Romeo, Romeo, who would have thought it? Romeo. So she's basically saying, like, no, heaven can't be that hateful and jealous, but Romeo can. even though God isn't. She's like, Romeo, Romeo, who would have ever thought it, Romeo? And of course, the nurse is saying, who would have ever thought Romeo would kill Tybalt? Juliet's hearing it as who would have ever thought that Romeo would be dead? Juliet says, what devil art thou that dost torment me so, or torment me thus? This torture should be roared in dismal hell. Hath Romeo slain himself? Say thou, but I, in that bare vow, I shall poison more than the death-darting eye of cockatrice. I am not I, if there is such an I, or those eyes shut that makes thee answer I. If he be slain, say I, if not, no. Brief sounds determine my weal or woe. So she's kind of saying here, like, this is torture. What? Why are you torturing me like this? Come out and say something. Did Romeo kill himself? It's like, say yes. I say yes, and that'll be more poisonous than like a snake. There's no I, meaning there's no me. If you say I, meaning yes, like everything I am ceases to be if you say that Romeo's dead and that Romeo killed himself. Then she's like, if he's been killed, say I, and if not, say no. Brief sounds, like these short words, will determine my joy or my pain. And the nurse says, I saw the wound, I saw it with mine eyes. God save the mark, here on his manly breast, a piteous course, a bloody piteous course. Pale, pale as ashes, all bedaubed in blood, all in gore blood. I swooned at the sight. So she's like, I saw the wound. I saw it with my own eyes. God bless that wound here, right here on his chest. He was a pitiful corpse, a bloody, pitiful corpse. He was as pale as ashes and covered in blood and gore. I fainted when I saw him. Juliet says, oh, let's see, break my heart, poor bankrupt, break it once. To prison eyes ne'er look on liberty. Vile earth to earth resigned, in motion here, and thou and Romeo press one heavy bear. So she's like, my heart's breaking, my bankrupt heart. I'll send my eyes to prison and they'll never look at freedom again. I'll give my body back to the earth, vile earth to earth resign. I'll give my this terrible body back to earth. I'll never move again. My body and Romeo's will be together in the same coffin. And the nurse says, oh, Tybalt, Tybalt, the best friend I had. Oh, courteous Tybalt, honest gentleman, that I would ever I should live to see thee dead. So, of course, now the nurse is just finally actually saying who's really dead. You know, Tybalt, my best friend, an honest gentleman, wonderful, polite Tybalt, that I never thought I would live to see thee dead. And Juliet, now she's like, been hearing Romeo's dead. Now she's hearing talk about Tybalt's dead. So immediately, Juliet thinks that both of them are dead. What storm is this that blows so contrary? Is Romeo slaughtered, and is Tybalt dead? My dearest cousin and my dearer lord? Then dreadful trumpets sound the general doom, for who is living if these two are gone? So she's like, what's going on here? Romeo's killed and Tybalt's dead? She's like, you know what? Go ahead and sound the trumpet for the end of the world, because it's over if these two are dead. And the nurse tells her what happened. Tybalt is gone, and Romeo banished. Romeo that killed him, he is banished. Now, I'm saying it the way that it would be said in this here to get the full syllables out. We would say it is banished. But in the actors would have said banished. Oh God, did Romeo's hand shed Tybalt's blood? She's like, did Romeo kill Tybalt? It did. It did. Alas, the day it did. So she's like, absolutely it did. And curse the day that it happened. And Juliet says, oh, serpent heart hid with a flowering face. Did ever dragon keep so fair a cave? Beautiful tyrant, fiend angelical, dove feathered raven, wolvish ravening lamb, despised substance of definest show, thou opposite to what thou justly seemst, a damned saint, an honorable villain. O nature, what hadst thou to do in hell when thou didst devour the spirit of a fiend in moral paradise of such sweet flesh? Was ever book containing such vile matter so fairly bound? Oh, that deceit should dwell in such a generous palace. So Juliet here is speaking in oxymoron. Oxymoron is when two things go together that are opposites. So if I said something like jumbo shrimp, or if I said something like pretty ugly, the together make a new idea, but the two words, the two halves of it are opposites. So when Juliet sang this, serpent heart hid with a flowering face, so a snake disguised as a flower, a dragon with a beautiful cave, a beautiful tyrant, a dove feathered raven, so a crow with white feathers. Let's see, a damned saint, an honorable villain. Let's see, what hadst thou? So, what was going on in hell when you gave the spirit of a fiend such beautiful flesh? Was there ever a book containing such terrible things, like such evil things, with such a beautiful cover? Oh, that deceit should dwell in such a gorgeous place. So something evil, something dark was in this beautiful thing. So she's like, how can somebody as beautiful and wonderful as Romeo really be hiding this dark ability to kill her cousin? So she's having trouble putting this together. She loves Romeo and she thinks he's beautiful and all this stuff, but he's done something terrible. So she's speaking in oxymoron because the two ideas are clashing. They're not working together, they're clashing. So the nurse says, there's no trust, no faith, no honesty in men. All perjured, all forsworn, all not, all dissemblers. Oh, where's my man? Give me some aqua vitae. These griefs, these woes, these sorrows make me old. Shame come to Romeo. So she's like, there's no trust, no faith, there's no honesty in men. They all lie, they all cheat, they're all wicked. So then she asks for a drink. She's like, when it says, where's my man? Give me some aqua vitae. Aqua vitae is the water of life, and that is another euphemism for alcohol. So she's like, I need a drink. And she's like, these sorrows, these pains, everything's making me feel old. And then she says, shame on Romeo. Shame come to Romeo. Juliet immediately turns back towards Romeo. Blistered be thy tongue for such a wish. He was not born to shame. Upon his brow, shame is a shame to sit. For 'tis a throne where honor may be crowned, sole monarch of the universal earth. Oh, what a beast was I to chide at him. So she's like, blistered be, I hope your tongue blisters for saying something like that. He was not born to be shameful. Shame is ashamed to sit on him. It's a place of honor. And then she says, what a beast was I to chide at him. How terrible I was to be angry with him. So she's immediately back on Romeo's side. And the nurse says, will you speak well of him that killed your husband? So she's like, you're going to say good things about the guy that killed your husband? Shall I speak ill of him? Or, I'm sorry, that killed your cousin. So will you speak well of him that killed your cousin? And she says, shall I speak ill of him that is my husband? So should I say bad things about my husband? O my poor lord, what tongue shall smooth thy name when I, thy 3 hours' wife, have mangled it? But wherefore, villain, didst thou kill my husband, my cousin? That villain cousin would have killed my husband. Back, foolish tears, back to your native spring. Your tributary drops belong to woe, which you mistaking offer up to joy. My husband lives that Tybalt would have slain, and Tybalt's dead that would have slain my husband. All this is comfort. Wherefore weep I then? Some word there was, worser than Tybalt's death that murdered me. I would forget it fain, but oh, it presses to my memory like damned guilty deeds to sinner's mind. Tybalt is dead and Romeo banished. So she's like, I'm sorry, like, what can I say to sing, like, to make your name better when I, who've only been your wife for 3 hours, have tarnished it, have spoken ill against you? But she says, then again, she's still questioning, but why? Wherefore? Remember, wherefore means why, not where. But why did you kill my cousin? Then she kind of realizes, my cousin would have killed my husband. So she's like, well, why did you kill Tybalt? But then she's like, well, Tybalt would have killed Romeo. So all Romeo did was kill Tybalt before Tybalt could kill him. And then she goes back, she's like, but then I'm remembering something. Some word there was, worser than Tybalt's death that murdered me. And I would forget it fain, but oh, it presses to my memory like damn guilty deeds to sinners' minds. So, like, there was worse news than Tybalt being dead, news that makes me want to die. And I wish I could forget it, but it's coming back to my memory like the guilt of a sinner. Tybalt is dead and Romeo is banished. So that's what keeps coming to her mind. And she would love to forget that, but she can't. And banished, that one word banished, hath slain 10,000 Tybalts. Tybalt's death was woe enough if it had ended there. If sour woe delights in fellowship and needly will be ranked with other griefs, why followed not when she said, Tybalt's dead, thy father, or thy mother, nay, or both, which modern lamentations might have moved. But with rearward following Tybalt's death, Romeo is banishing. To speak that word is father, mother, Tybalt, Romeo, Juliet, all slain, all dead. Sorry. Romeo is banished. There is no end, no limit, measure bound in that word's death. No words can that woe sound. Where's my father and my mother nurse? So she's like, but that one word, banished, that word is worse than if 10,000 Tybalts had died. Tybalt's death was bad enough if it had just stopped there. Or if misery loves company, if you had said Tybalt's dead and your father or your mother or both of them are both dead, that would have been bad. But by following that with Romeo is banished, saying that, you've basically killed my mom, my dad, Tybalt, Romeo, Juliet. We're all dead. Everything I know is dead with you saying that Romeo has been banished. It's infinite death. No words can that woe sound. No words can express how terrible that is. And then she asks where her mom and her dad are. And the nurse says, weeping and wailing over Tybalt's corpse. Will you go to them? I'll bring you thither. She's like, they're crying and moaning over Tybalt's body. Are you going to go join them? I'll take you there. So Juliet says, wash they his wounds with tears? Mine shall be spent when theirs are dry for Romeo's banishment. Take up those cords. Poor ropes, you are beguiled, both you and I, for Romeo is exiled. He made you for a highway to my bed, but I am maiden, die maiden widowed. Come, cords, come, nurse, I'll to my wedding bed, and death, not Romeo, take my maiden. So she's like, are they washing his wounds with their tears? I'll cry after they've finished crying, but I'll cry for Romeo's banishment. And she tells the nurse to take the rope ladder. And she kind of talks to it whenever she's talking to it like a thing. This is a figurative language called apostrophe. But she's talking to the rope ladder, and she says, poor ropes, you are beguiled. You're made useless, just like me. Because Romeo's been exiled. He made you as a way to come up to my bed tonight. But I, a maid, a virgin, will die a virgin. So she says, come, Cords, like, here, let's go. I'm going to go to, come, nurse, I'll to my wedding bed. I'm going to go to the bed that was supposed to be my wedding bed. And death, not Romeo, will take my maiden. She goes, I'm going to go to my wedding bed, and death, not Romeo, is going to be what takes my virginity. And the nurse says, hie to your chamber. I'll find Romeo to comfort you. I wot well where he is. Hark ye, your Romeo will be here at night. I'll to him. He is hid at Lawrence's cell. So she says, go to your room. I'll find Romeo to comfort you. I know where he is. Listen to me. Romeo will be here tonight. I'll go to him. He's hiding at Friar Lawrence's. Juliet gives the nurse a ring, and she says, oh, find him. Give this ring to my true knight, and bid him come to take his last farewell. And then they exit. So she says, give him this ring and tell him to come say his last goodbyes to me. And she leaves. All right. So the nurse is going to try to get Romeo to come spend his wedding night with Juliet before he has to leave and is banished. And this shows you how crazy into Romeo she is. The fact that Romeo has killed her cousin, a member of her family, and she's more worried about the fact that she's not going to be with Romeo than that. So these kids are insane. All right. I'm going to go ahead and show you real quick what I want for you to do on this scene. I'm going to put these together as scene 2 and scene 3, but I'm going to go ahead and show you what I want you to do for scene 2. So scene 2, let's see. Let's zoom in here a little bit. All right. So 3 phrases from Juliet's speech that show how much she's looking forward to Romeo being there. So, longing for him. So look for that. Summarize, of course, what happens in this scene. Do you think that the nurse delivers the news to Juliet well? Is she a good messenger, and why or why not? What's the nurse's mood, and what are give me a quote that shows the nurse's feelings about Romeo during this scene. All right, we talked about oxymoron. Oxymoron, and it gives you this here, the same scene. So what is an oxymoron, and why does she use oxymorons here to describe Romeo? Let's see. What does she do at the end of the scene, and do you think that this is a good idea? So that is your scene 2 work. Not too much going on there. All right, I'll be back in the next video to do scene 3. So y'all take care and be safe.